Hey guys, Isaac Anderson here, and I will be presenting my climate change research project today. Okay, so how does climate change affect different variables besides weather and the oceans? So I feel like we all know the obvious ones, such as emissions and CO2 being released into the sky and destroying the ozone layer. But I really had to take a deep dive into this and do some research and find that there are actually a lot more things that we really need to be paying attention to rather than just the ozone layer. And that's including animals' health, the health of the coral reef, which protects the oceans, and a lot more things like that because they're just kind of looked over in a way. So there's new innovations that we should be using to help the planet's health. My definitional thesis statement. Climate change is a direct violation to our human rights as it creates problems not only to the planet that we inhabit, but our health and wellness as well. So I feel that the planet is being destroyed in a sense, but in a way, we're also destroying our own health because the more emissions and fossil fuels we burn, we're actually destroying our own health in return with diseases and pollution and what we put into our food and our water as well. The overview of climate change, I started off with a good quote. I'm just going to read this real quick. The impacts of climate change on different sectors of society are interrelated. So, this means if there is one problem regarding climate change, then there's going to be a bunch that actually stem from one single problem. So, food production is a good one that stems from deforestation, the burning of fossil fuels, and emissions actually gets soaked up into our food, and we're actually consuming these fossil fuels too. And the heating of the planet actually makes the air more dense and more humid. So this causes airborne diseases such as malaria and other illnesses. My counter argument was interesting because you would think there wouldn't be a counter argument for climate change crisis, but in a way, the planet is actually, I wouldn't say okay, but it's trying to help itself with the problems we're causing to it. So the planet will fluctuate and it'll change its ecosystems and its temperature to sort of help itself cool down or heat up. And the oceans will rise and lower due to time of extended amounts of drought years and heavy rainfall years. So the waters will always fluctuate, but the melting of the polar ice caps is not a good thing. And that's what most people pay attention to when they talk about the rise of the sea level. Possible solutions. I feel like we all know this first one pretty well. Walking, riding bikes, that's really good for our health, but also good for the planet's health as we're reducing emissions and CO2 being put into the air from our vehicles. So, taking bikes, geoengineering was a new one I found. It's actually very interesting to me. I found that it is the direct injection of particles into the atmosphere to reflect sunlight back into space so that there's less temperature on the planet. So this will decrease the amount of light being put onto the planet and therefore cooling the atmosphere. My call to action is pretty simple. I just feel we need to take precautions as a people because we need to decrease these emissions drastically. There's way too much CO2 in the air. There's diseases going on because there's not enough um, oxygen. There's a lot of CO2. So all these diseases and everything, we just need to be cleaner as a people. I feel cleaner energy, renewable resources, wind, water, and solar. We need to take more advantage of those. My rhetorical situation was the message basically on this whole thing was to anyone to basically come together and put all our hands in one basket and to pretty much help the planet itself. The context of this essay was the exploration and really the deep dive into the solutions for the problem that we have at hand of the climate change. So, the research process reflection I found the most important thing for me was if this problem ever arose again, I would find better methods or other solutions to attack this problem in a more effective way. And I'd say some of the most powerful points I used were my sources and how they really aided into the effectiveness of my research process. And I will definitely be using my same methods of planning and outlining for the next time. Here are my resources, and thank you for your time.